The next time you enjoy a glass of wine, think about your place in history. Wine may date back to 6000 BC. Nowadays, we drink it from bottles, not animal skins, but the basic principles of wine making remain the same. Wine grapes grow best in temperate climates, but if grapevines are well protected, they can survive a Canadian winter. The riper the grapes, the sweeter the wine, so growers wait as long as possible before harvesting their crop. Pickers gather grapes by hand, cutting off the bunches with shears to avoid tearing the plant. For red wine, winemakers use the entire red grape, juice, skin, pulp, and even seeds. For white wine, they use just the juice of white grapes. While the winemaking process itself is certainly a factor, the quality of the grapes is what will ultimately determine the quality of the wine. Grapes are affected by weather, by soil conditions, and by how the vines are pruned during and between seasons. The grapes go into the crusher, then into the presser, which squeezes out the juice. Inside the winery, the result of all that crushing and pressing ends up in large stainless steel tanks. The winemaker adds yeast to make the sugar in the grape juice convert to alcohol. That's called fermentation. Winemakers constantly experiment with fermentation to try to improve the quality of their wine. They take samples of grape juice and mix them with different types of yeast. Yeast is found throughout the environment, in wild berries, for instance. They hydrate the yeast with a bit of grape juice, then pour the mix into the grape juice sample, let it ferment, then see how it turns out. The big fermentation tanks are refrigerated, and monitoring their temperature is critical. White wine must be fermented at 17 degrees Celsius, red wine at 30 to 35 degrees Celsius. The fermentation period depends on the type of wine. White wine has to ferment for 3 weeks, red wine for just 10 days. Rosé wine is somewhat of a half-breed, made with red grapes but fermented slowly, like white wine. It comes out pink. There's an extra step in making red wine. During fermentation, they drain the tank to aerate the wine. The oxygen helps the yeast work faster over the short 10-day fermentation period. Then they pump the wine back in through the top of the tank to mix everything thoroughly. During fermentation, they not only monitor temperature, but also the sugar level. As the juice becomes wine, the sugar level drops and the alcohol level increases. Except for very sweet wines, fermentation is done when the sugar's gone, and the alcohol content is 11 to 13% for red wine, 11 to 11.5% for white and rosé. The wine is stored for a few months, then it's run through several pressure filters to remove any particles. Then comes time to bottle the wine. Large wineries have fully automated bottling plants, smaller operations, semi-automated systems like this one. The key in bottling wine is to avoid getting air inside, because oxygen turns wine sour. The colored wine bottles protect the wine from light, which can also affect the taste. People have used cork to plug wine bottles since ancient times, because it creates a tight seal that keeps the air out. Cork, incidentally, is a type of tree bark. It grows back so the tree isn't harmed. Inside the bottle, the wine continues to undergo subtle organic changes as it ages. The next time you buy a canned soft drink, consider this. That aluminum can will always be recyclable. Unlike plastic, aluminum never deteriorates, no matter how often it's melted down and used again. Aluminum cans are so lightweight that it's hard to believe they're made from a huge roll of aluminum sheeting that weighs 9 metric tons. The sheet is about 1.5 meters wide and as thin as construction paper. A roll like this is long enough to make 750,000 drink cans. The sheet feeds into a press that punches out round pieces that'll be formed into cans. The punch press actually performs 2 operations. It punches out a disc 14 centimeters in diameter, then bends it into a cup. What's left of the sheet gets compacted and sent back to the aluminum factory where it's recycled into new rolls. The cup goes into a machine called the draw and iron body maker. A tool draws out the aluminum, forming the body of the can. The tool is lubricated so it won't tear the aluminum while stretching it. The lubricant also acts as a coolant because the aluminum heats up as it's being worked. Once the body is formed, a trimmer cleans and straightens the edge. Now the cans move along upside down on the conveyor belt over to the washer. The washer performs a 6-stage cleaning. The first 2 washes are in hydrofluoric acid at 60 degrees Celsius. The last 4 washes are in deionized water, neutral water with no pH, also at 60 degrees. The cans come out of the washer and go under a hot air dryer. They're now shiny because the hydrofluoric acid wash removed a thin surface layer of aluminum. Next, a roller passes over the cans, coating the bottom rims with varnish. This varnish coating allows the cans to slide easily on conveyor belts and in vending machines. It shows up as a blue ring under ultraviolet light. The cans are now ready to be printed. This rotation printing system can apply up to 5 colors, one at a time. The machine then applies a layer of varnish to protect the ink. This is what the print and varnish process looks like in slow motion. And here's the actual speed, 1,800 cans per minute. Next, the cans fly through an oven that instantly hardens the ink and dries the protective varnish. The next machine sprays a water-based varnish on the inside of the cans. This creates a barrier between the drink and the aluminum, so the drink won't end up tasting like metal. It also prevents the aluminum from being eaten away from the inside by the acid in carbonated drinks. Next, the cans go through a machine called the necker, which forms a 5-centimeter neck on the can. This is done gradually in 11 steps so as not to puncture the paper-thin aluminum. The next machine, called the flanger, forms a curved-over edge at the top of the can, which will later attach to the pull tab cover. The cans pass through a sophisticated vision system that photographs the inside of each can. Any can that doesn't meet standards, that has a bump or ink inside, for example, is automatically canned from the production line. They strap the finished cans onto a pallet. From here, they're shipped to the drink company, which fills them, then attaches the pull tab cover.